We do that right here weekdays at 11 a.m. Make sure you tune in. You never have to miss a show. Why? Because we are live right now on Facebook. We are live on Instagram. We'll be up on YouTube. We are everywhere that you want to be. We are opening your mind. If you'd like to join the Good Life Radio Show, please give us a call at 504-400-7127. That is 504-400-7127. You can also go online right now and check out our rates and packages at tglradioshow.com, tglradioshow.com, because it's the good life. I am in the studio with none other than Ashley Moore. I am really excited to have her in here. We have Pierre on the line. I'm excited to have him, and I think Terry's going to stop by the studio today as well. And of course, the conversation this week has been about reconciling. The word for the week was reconcile. We've talked about it in so many different aspects, and it's really funny because I find myself in a very peculiar situation right now. Obviously, if you've paid attention to the show this entire week, when I chose the theme reconcile, I didn't know that I was going to be dealing with myself in that situation as well. As you know, I find myself in another situation this morning. I'm reconciling something, and I'm not going to jump all into it, but I do have to say my 2 cents, because each and every one of us listening are a part of a family. You're a part of a family, Ashley. Lee, you're on the other side of the glass. You're a part of the family. Pierre, you're part of a family. Yeah. Everybody listening is a part of the family. Mom, dad, brother, sister, whether alive, you disagree or whatever, they're your blood, they're your family. And it is incredibly difficult to sit in a situation where you have to listen to someone say something that is a lie about your family member and not say anything back, right? Well, that just kind of is what it is. And if you do not know, my name is Eileen Carter, last name Carter, and I'm very proud of my last name and the things that my family and extended family and friends have done for the community for so many years. Why? Because it has been instilled in us. My grandfather had a mechanic shop on First and Galvez, and my grandmother was working in the church in St. Monica's for years and years and years, and she was always the one that, for all of you know, Kate Carter, she was always, taking care of the kids or feeding the neighborhood or whatever. We always, my dad grew up with 8, I'm just speak of one family. My dad grew up with 8 siblings, but there was always at least 12 children in the house. So my father grew up, and my mother as well, but my father grew up, knowing that hard work and giving back was, vital to the community. And my mother as well, she was the oldest of 3 children, and she always, when her mother went to work, who had 3 jobs, she made sure that, her siblings were taken care of. So our family has come from hard work, and giving back and taking care of the community was always something that has been ingrained in my sisters and I. And so my sister's Karen, she caught this bug very young. I remember, or I don't remember because I wasn't born yet, but it's funny. We are a member of Bold, and she actually started the initial kind of kids group at Bold at 9 years old. She created her own ballots and asked for her own T-shirts so she could go out and knock on doors to encourage people to vote, because she wanted to make sure that our voices were heard. So to sit on the other side of the glass and to hear someone, not speak the truth. We all have our First Amendment. So if you're going to speak, and it's the truth, and even if it's not the truth, you have your right to say it. But I can't sit there and listen to it and it not be the truth. She is compassionate. She is loving. And is she perfect? Absolutely not. Because I'm not perfect, and everyone, each and every one of us listening out there are not perfect as well. He who is perfect and lives, cast the first stone. I don't see anybody bending down to pick up a rock. We need to be solution-based. That's what we need to do. If we want to move our community forward, we can point fingers all we want. The past is the past. Let's learn from it. Sit down, have conversations. Let's say, you know what? This wasn't necessarily the right course of action. This wasn't the best idea. Okay, well, how can we learn from it? What can we do today? That's what we're going to do. That's how we reconcile. This is the good life. We do it with love, compassion, tolerance, and understanding. And too often we don't do that with each other. If you come at me in a defensive mode with negativity, either I'm not going to work with you or that's going to be my reaction. It just is what it is. And so this is a time where I really have to embrace what this show is about. And it is about love, compassion, tolerance, and understanding. So anyone who may not agree with, with something that I'm talking about, or something that a family member does, or, let's sit down and talk. Let's have a conversation. Let's come up with a solution. But I am not going to go somewhere and simply bash you. Why? Because it's not productive. It just isn't productive. I could, like Ashley, I don't like your hair today. I can go gossip all over the city about her. It's not going to change anything. Until we decide to start having conversations with each other and not to everybody else, with each other. And if there's a problem, let's talk about that problem. I don't have any issues with that. We can have forums, we can have groups, we can have community stuff. Let's get together. Let's listen to each other. Let's create solutions. That is the good life. Let's reconcile that with our community, with ourselves. Let's begin that walk. This was actually a part that I was going to read at the end of the show and lead up to this, but I'm actually going to read it now. I'm getting this off of guidetopsychology.com. We've been talking about reconciliation all week, but this conversation a little bit today is going to be that there is a distinction between forgiveness and reconciliation. So I'm going to read this, which was actually going to come at the end of the show, but we will make a full circle. It says, forgiveness comes from sorrow. And when I read that, I said, forgiveness comes from sorrow. I really didn't understand it. So let me read on. It said, not sorrow for anything that you have done, but sorrow for the fact that everyone, including yourself, has the same ugly capacity to inflict harm on others. I'm going to repeat that. Forgiveness comes from sorrow, not sorrow for anything you have done, but sorrow for the very fact that everyone, including yourself, has the same ugly capacity to inflict harm on others, wittingly or unwittingly. They say, notice the words that were just delivered, including yourself. They say this is where everyone gets stuck. What, me? I hurt somebody? No, what are you talking about? They hurt me. I don't hurt anybody. I never hurt anybody's feelings. That's where we get stuck. Even your siblings, your friends, your family, it's easy enough to see that your mother may have been hurtful, but to admit that you have the same human capacity to hurt is just too distasteful. We don't let that settle in our spirit. You know what? I have been hurt before, but you know what? I'm sure I've hurt someone. Maybe they have told me, maybe they haven't, but I'm sure I have. And I cannot be so egotistical to think that I haven't and point fingers at everybody else and be mad at everybody else and not take responsibility for my own actions. And we do that too often with ourselves, with others, and especially in our community. And it's time for us to reconcile as a community, get our minds right, embrace love, compassion, tolerance, and understanding, and walk into the good life. Because we can continue with fear. We can continue shaming people. We continue creating guilt. We can continue pointing our fingers. But I'm going to be very honest really quickly. We did a lot of that, and I hate to bring up politics. I really don't talk about it that much on The Good Life, but here's a great example, in my opinion. We like to talk about our community. Here's a great example. We want to point fingers about Mary Landrieu. Was she perfect? No, because none of us are. Has she done, and has her family done a lot for the community? Yes. Are they perfect? No. They are not perfect. Am I going to agree with everything that they've done? No. But she was a Democratic candidate. She was going to be the head of the Energy Committee. Guess what? We bashed her. We talked about everything she did not do. And were there things she did not do? Absolutely. Am I the first one to say, yes, she did this, or no, she didn't that? But you know what? When it came down to the two candidates, Landrieu and Cassidy, I pulled that lever for Landrieu. And I did not go to the polls for that reason. Why? Because look at our options now. You're not going to get the same response out of the office. You don't even have a Democrat in the office. You don't even have that outlet anymore. So we can continue to say we want this, that, and the other, but sometimes you just have to reconcile that you're only going to get 80% because nobody is perfect. You're never going to get a perfect candidate. It just doesn't exist. Why? Because you aren't perfect. None of us are. When we can reconcile with that, when we can actually understand, wait, they hurt me. This decision that they made hurt me on education. But you know what? In crime, in economic development, in women's issues, in gun control, in equal pay, in each and every one of these issues, in insurance cases. You know what? When flood insurance was low, they made sure that we had this, that, and the other. You know what? So you know what? If I have to balance it out, I may have to reconcile that I'm going to have to go check this button for this person. We have to stop thinking that our politicians are perfect. They aren't. They are absolutely not perfect. They are a sinner. A saint is a sinner that got up. And each of us are in that position. And at some point, we need to open our mind to living differently in the world and be like, you know what? I cannot hold someone to a higher standard than I want to be held to myself. We're about to make huge decisions right now. It is what, October 5th, 6th, whatever it is. We have so many days into this election. We can continue to finger point. We can continue to do all of this fear mongering, in my opinion, because that's really what it is. We can continue to do those things. Or we can listen to every candidate. We can educate ourselves, and we can make a decision for ourselves on who we feel will lead us in the right direction. Reconcile it with ourselves. It doesn't have to be a pact. We saw all the money that's floating around. They said this in the earlier show, and I absolutely agree. Money doesn't make the candidate. We do. It's our voices that need to be heard. But we need to think about what we're saying and what we're delivering. If we're delivering more fear, hate, and nastiness, sometimes you need to just maybe go see where that actually is steeping from. Because if that's what you're spewing out, it really isn't, it may not actually be about that person. And generally, 99.9% it isn't. If y'all listen to the Good Life radio show enough, you know it generally isn't about that person. It's generally about something that has hit a trigger for you. And when you are able to hit that trigger and figure out what that is and begin the healing process, you are able to reach out, to build bridges, and to grow a better life. Not just for you, but for generations to come, for me, for my children. For everybody. And as much as we want to think that, our brown selves listening to this radio show is all that exists, we aren't all that exist. We are all spirit beings having a human experience. We are just in a different shade of hue of body. And it's difficult because they have certain hues who beat us up day in and day out. And trust me, I get it, I understand. But if we can get our hue together, then we can start exuding a little bit more of that love and tolerance. Past that. And maybe we could teach other hues how it works. You know what? This seems to be working over here. Let's try that out. But until we are able to be a better example for ourselves and others, I don't know. Pierre, I have you on the line. I have Ashley in here. I didn't mean to kind of go, all out there, and I didn't really want to get specific, but there is no way that I can just sit there and continue. I can't continue to do it anymore. And I'm not going to do it in a negative way because, I love all my brothers and sisters. Everyone who speaks on here, I love each and every one of you, and I'm going to listen to you, but it doesn't mean I have to agree with your take. I'm going to listen. I'm going to agree to disagree, and I choose to continue to deliver love, and I press upon that to you today, your hearts, your souls, your minds, to please think about the words that are coming out of your mouth. We play with that, but the words that are coming out of your mouth, think of them. The power is in the tongue. We watched an entire presidential political campaign that was nothing but hate and fear. Look where that got us. They said we have a time now to make decisions. Tracy Washington said we have the time is now to make a decision, and you absolutely do. And you can choose to be a more loving, kind, and generous person with not only your time, but your money, giving back to people who are less fortunate, and making sure that you get out there and change the vote. And don't just listen to the people here at WBOK. Go out there and learn for yourself. The best candidate for you may be someone, if we are sitting in Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So the best candidate for you may be someone who leads on those issues. You may have had a homeless bout in your lifetime. You may be someone who needs to go educate yourself on those candidates who are leading the charge in that industry. You may be dealing with huge medical prescription costs. Go find the candidate that is touching those issues. Stop listening to everybody else. We need to take power for ourselves. Reconcile with ourselves. And I'm sorry to have a rant. Well, sorry, not sorry, honestly. I hope each and every one of you heard this, and it is from the bottom of my heart, because y'all know I am passionate about it. And am I perfect? Absolutely not. But I strive each and every day to be a better person. And I hope you do that too. We're going to take a quick break. I have Ashley in the studio. I have Pierre. And we're going to talk about reconciling, forgiveness and reconciliation. They are two different things. And we need to open our minds to them. Thanks so much for listening. It's Eileen. I'll be right back.
Come on, roll with the RTA. You ask for more, and now there's new bus shelters for your comfort.
Yeah.
2,000 new bus signs. More information at your fingertips.
Girl. I love your hair today. I was trying to make something. Girl, I was trying to make something lighthearted.
I got it done yesterday. Cut.
I like your hair,
but it's just a mess.
No, I like your hair. I do. It's fancy. I was just and for each and every one of you who are listening today and are wondering where it came from, there was just a conversation previous to my show coming on. And I don't want to be, negative or anything like that. It was just views that, in my opinion, because everybody has their own opinion, were coming from a place of negativity. Mm-hmm. And I think, too often we don't realize how much of that we are spewing. And so when we are spewing it, it falls on other people. And then the next layer of people go have conversations and are spewing more negativity, and they go touch someone else and they are doing it. And so that's how, hate and negativity grow. But I'm like, you know what? Instead of listening to someone else's opinion, go find out for yourself. I don't know what it may be for you, but a little bit more love and compassion for each other, a little bit more tolerance. Let's just walk into a different conversation, because if we want to change something, we have to do something differently. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and over again. And we've done that for years. We have sat and called the radio station and complained for years. Let's try a solution. Let's try forgiveness. Let's try reconciling. So I'm going to get off my high horse. Yes, I want to say about, but I can't, negativity, and I'll come back with that. I am literally allergic to negative people. I'm allergic to negativity. I am physically uncomfortable around it. And I'm sure there are people listening who have the same, reaction, because people tell me, like, when you hear those little memes and you see that, what is it? One of them is like, be the most positive person in the room so the negative people will leave, or something like that.
I've never heard that one.
Well, be so positive that negative people don't want to be around you. That's what it is. It's be so positive that negative people don't want to be around you. I'm trying to push the, because I was all happy and bopping around this morning. And I was like, my car was in the shop. I'm getting my car back today. So I was like, oh, I'm in a good mood. And I just felt like I was inundated with negativity, and I just had to say something. I just had to. So, thanks everyone for listening. I don't want to call it a rant, for listening to my love fest. Ashley's like, that was not a love fest. That wasn't a love fest? You didn't like my love fest?
Girl, that was you going off in a proper manner.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. So I didn't sound like hateful. Did I sound hateful? Did y'all think I sounded hateful? I didn't want to sound hateful. It's not about being hateful. Like, I'm not going to go at you negative, but I'm sure not going to let you sit here and go and say a lie about my family member. That's not going to happen. Ever. Like, who sits there for that? I'm going to just sit here and twiddle my thumbs while you lie about my... No.
Baby.
We don't rock like that.
My family got so much drama going on right now. It's ridiculous.
We don't rock like that. Like, but yeah, but exactly. But listen.
I don't get in it.
Okay, but say there was family drama, right? And there's somebody outside who comes and says something negative about just the person who, I don't even want to know, about the person who is like the loudest right now. You're going to be like, wait, you can't talk about, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we going to get our stuff together over here, but you can't, like, no. Okay.
I can't with my cousins. We're in a group meet together.
Good morning, and welcome back to The Good Life with me, Eileen. We are here on Gumbo Talk Thursday, and we're here to open your mind. We are living the good life with WBOK 1230 AM. We are opening minds to living differently in the world with love, compassion, tolerance, and understanding for ourselves and everyone else. We do that weekdays right here on WBOK. Make sure you tune in. We are live on Instagram. We are live on Facebook. And I just want to let each and every one of you know, I do have callers calling in. We are about compassion, love, tolerance, and understanding, and we are about solutions. I have no problem listening to anybody. It really wasn't initially it's not really a political conversation. It really is a listening conversation to each other, and being able to have conversation, maybe agree to disagree, maybe not disagree, or maybe find a common interest that we can work on together. I may not agree on you may have a list of 10. I may agree on one. You know what? Let's start with that one and work from there. And that's what it's all about. Let's reconcile. So, of course, I have Pierre on the phone. I have Miss Linda on the line. Lee, can you get them on both for me real quickly? I'm going to have him do it for me real quick. We have Miss Linda. Good morning. How are you? Welcome to The Good Life. Which pack? Oh, I wasn't, Miss Linda, I think you misunderstood me. I wasn't talking about a pack. Miss Linda, I wasn't talking about a pack this morning. That's not what I was speaking of. It was not, but you must have misunderstood the conversation. The conversation was regard specifically to my sister and her husband. No, ma'am, they are not part of the pack. Ma'am, you're going to listen to me and I'm going to listen to you. She's not part of the pack. Karen Carter Peterson is not a part of that pack that put out that. She's not. No, exactly. But you know what, Miss Linda? Thank you for saying that, because that's exactly, you know what, Miss Linda? God works in mysterious ways, and that's exactly why you called. Because being a media outlet and having these types of conversations, we need to be very clear. Because when we are not, we skew information and people get bad information. And just like you were listening and you caught a tail end or a piece of it and you thought that it was connected to somebody else, it was not. And we should be more responsible. And I'm holding myself to that as well, because do I say everything perfectly? Absolutely not. And if I make a mistake, I'm going to come on here and say it. But I would like to clear that up. No, Karen Carter Peterson is not a part of that pact at all. It is two separate situations. She's not a part of the pact. So for all of the listeners out there who may have gotten misinformation like Miss Linda, and see, Miss Linda, wait, but you know what? I want to continue on this, because when someone is spreading something that is not the truth, or no, it wasn't even not the truth, their version or negativity, somebody else picks up on that. And then you got something that was negative, and their energy through the radio waves got to you, and you got upset because you were like, wait, hold up, what happened? And then, it fired you up, and you called in, and if not for, you talking to me, it would have continued. You would have had a conversation with your friends, and they would have had a conversation with their friends. And that's how we played this telephone game. I understand that, but I didn't even, I understand that. I do understand that. Absolutely, I understand that. But the conversation was not about. Miss Linda, I got a 13-year-old young black man that I'm raising. I fully understand, and I am in the trenches with you.
Yes, thank you.
No problem. You have a blessed day.
I will.
Y'all, that's the good life. It's having a conversation. It's listening to one another. It is finding out what our common points, where our misunderstandings were, and we can get off the phone positive. You saw the example right here on air. It can happen. Let's have conversations with each other. Let's reconcile. Pierre is on the line. Of course, I have Ashley in here. Either one of you want to jump in with regard to reconciliation? Because we saw it just now. Pierre? Can you hear me? Oh. reconciliation, has there ever been a time where there was like a miscommunication where you're like, if and found out maybe later, if we would have just sat down and had a conversation, all that time may not have passed, whether it had been you specifically or a friend, a family member, or cousin or whomever?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I know I was actually having this conversation with someone yesterday.
Imagine that.
Part of it, and I was saying how part of it is that I think we sometimes get too much of a personal attachment to a situation. And I use the example of friendships and business and how we cross the lines but should know how to keep them divided. Because I've been in situations in corporate where me and my director, my vice president, we've been head to head and we basically cursed each other out in meetings. And then we go to lunch afterwards. It was nothing personal.
Right.
It was a business disagreement or a failure to see eye to eye on one particular point. And I think sometimes we have a issue with where if someone doesn't agree with what we're saying, we get angry too much, or vice versa, and we look for all the reasons why they're wrong, but there are some of their experiences. That's their personal opinion, and they're okay with that. And and I'm okay with that as well. We don't have to see two things the same way. We don't have to continue that point going forward. There may be other things we see eye to eye on, and we can still have those conversations. It's just sometimes removing the personal aspect from it and then seeing what is really there. Is it the experiences that person had? We're all sums of our experiences. Is it their interpretation of the situation? What led to them thinking that way? And then also what led to me thinking the way I think?
Exactly.
And then seeing how we can move forward, but at the same time, knowing that on this particular point, we just don't see eye to eye. And that's fine.
And that's okay. And that is absolutely okay. And I'm gonna let Ashley interject right after I say that. A conversation that we always have, but I think this is a true testament, is hurt people. And we always say that with regard to relationships. But it's in relationships in so many different aspects, where it be a decision somebody made, where it be something at work, whether it be, an intimate relationship, whether it be a child, a parent, you are, continuing a cycle, and then your child continues a cycle to the grandchildren. Hurt people. And so, I just want to reconcile and for us to acknowledge that we're hurt. We're hurt.
I agree. Like an example I always give is for children, dealing with children. Say if a child is struggling with their homework, that people don't realize the power of words, where when that child is young, for someone to respond with, well, how can I help, or what do you need help with, versus what don't you understand?
Oh, yes.
And they don't get the difference between the two, because now when you're telling a child to asking, well, what don't you understand? And they're forced to explain what they don't understand. One, it doesn't make them feel comfortable. Two, it puts them in the situation of, now we're not finding a solution. I'm explaining what I don't. That won't help me. That won't help me to get to coming to an understanding. And then lastly, it's an uncomfortable feeling. And depending on how that parent responds, if they respond with frustration from that child's lack of understanding,
right,
that child later will grow up and be one that they'll explain all the things they can't understand, and it destroys their perception of understanding, because that's now how they're programmed. And then if someone doesn't get their point, then those triggers trigger from back when they were young, and they lash out and react with anger or frustration because their point isn't getting across. All because it all started from young with either the belt or the ruler at the table when they're messing up their homework, or that, well, what is it you don't understand?
Right.
That's the worst question we could ask a kid, because then later when they grow up, it's hard for them to understand new things because they're always thinking of what they don't get about it. And that builds a barrier to learning.
Wow. Ashley, you're over there nodding your head.
No, I totally agree with what he's saying. Actually, my cousin, she is a licensed as a doctor in psychology and deals with young children and has her own practice. And children are very valuable, and I think that's where a lot of the things come from when we are children, is learning about It's a big word I can't say right now. Whatever.
Reconciliation.
It's not a big word. It's just not wanting to come out.
It wasn't rolling off the tongue.
No.
Well, we've all been there.
But I always say, like, I have a really good friend who kind of always asks me, like, why I do things that I've done, and we've been friends since we were, like, 13, and she goes, you should know right from wrong or this and that, but I grew up different than her, and, coming back as a child, those things, like, not really getting the correct response from my parents when I did something wrong, like, they didn't always discipline me or something. So then you might think, okay, I can do this. This is okay. Or,
right.
If your parents really aren't there to even guide you and you're looking
you have
to
a totally different
everybody
experience.
else,
Right.
But nonetheless, I actually yesterday had a situation with a coworker, and I'm new at this job, and we got into it because for some odd reason he just does not care for me. But I would say if I was to judge him, he's a very negative person, and I feel like he wakes up angry, like he's just so negative. But I had to kind of get on him because I'm like, you chastise me every day at work when I work with you. You talk to me like you're crazy, and I just don't...
Taking your power back.
Yeah, but, I think he's one of those people that, he's been there, so he feels like he runs the show type of deal. And it's like, who hurt you, boo?
Right.
Really?
Right.
That's,
right.
I mean, seriously.
And sometimes it's sitting back and looking at that. But,
sure.
But where you are to be able to see that is huge. A lot of time we just respond and go off on someone else, but to say, where were you? Like, he had to be hurt somewhere, which is why he's reacting the way to me.
And I think, not to get like too deep.
Girl, we get deep. Go ahead, whatever you want.
and I want to say this, and people might not believe me, whatever, but it's 2017. If you are, I don't know the correct term, but if you're gay, I guess, I don't care. Like, I don't care. I don't see you as a threat to me or anything like that. And he is, and he walks around with this chip on his shoulder.
Maybe he's been so attacked so much that he just protects himself in a manner to kind of take care of it in his mind before it happens to him. Like, I already know that they're going to judge me, and so that, this is my protective measure to walk around like with a chip on my shoulder, per se.
Yeah. I mean, the people that I work with, heck, one of my managers is gay, and he don't act like that. So
he may have had a different experience.
True. But I feel like the group of people we work with, we're not those type of people. So I don't know, but he definitely is just, I don't know. And then he kind of rubbed me wrong yesterday when we were getting into it, and he said, I'm done, bruh. And I said, oh, well, that wasn't really necessary. I kind of took it as like a little racial jab, Like, I don't know, because, he's a white man, and, I don't really hear too many white men say bruh.
So how do you reconcile in that situation? Because it's at a job situation where you have to go to work, and so how do you reconcile it? Is it someone where you can kind of find a happy medium? But you stood up for yourself and you had a conversation. You didn't go crazy, but you were like, you're doing this, that,
him
and
properly.
Yeah.
But if we was outside of work, it would have been a different story. But from that, I stood there after he tried to, embarrass me and check me, I guess. I stood there. I wasn't going to walk away. No, you're not finna, make me walk away or whatever. And then for the rest of the night, when he spoke to me, he didn't have an attitude, and he would say please and stuff. So, I think it got to him.
So after you were able to have a conversation, it got better.
Well, yeah, happening to...
So I have a question.
Get up.
So my question for you today, because I see how you feel. Do you feel like you will be able to forgive him, i.e. reconcile? Because they're two different things. Because what I'm reading from...
I've already forgiven him, because guess what? For me, it wasn't nothing really to not forgive him about. He's just, in my eyes, he's the fool, I guess. He's the one that has the issue. So, I moved on yesterday.
amazing.
after it happened.
Right. But you were able to let it go, and so you were able to walk forward. But how many of us aren't able to let go and are still holding on to things? Because from my understanding of forgiveness and reconciliation, which are two different things, because forgiveness is forgiving the person and letting it go. Reconciliation is where you find common ground and you come back together.
I don't know.
Well, exactly. That's why I wanted to make it a distinction. Forgiveness is you're forgetting somebody, and you honestly are letting it go. It's not one of those things they say, I'm going to forget, but I'm going to remember. No, when you forgive somebody, but you're not going to forget, I should to correct myself. When you forgive somebody, you really are supposed to forget. You are supposed to let it go as if you're starting from day one. And so many of us say...
No.
Oh, wait.
That's a lie they tell us.
Okay, well, guess what? I'm going to let you... Well, guess what? I'm gonna let you hold on to the break. Please give me the message, and you are gonna talk about that when we get back. So Pierre has a conversation about forgiveness and the forgiving and the forget part. I'm gonna have him start us on that when we get back. Terry has walked in the studio, so we have her here. We have a packed studio, y'all. We're talking about reconciliation. Open your mind to living differently in the world with love, compassion, tolerance, and understanding. Not just for yourselves, but for everyone else. Why? Because you want them to offer that to you. We'll be right back. Hi. How are you?
Running around like
Good morning, y'all.
Crazy person.
Run around like a crazy person?
Yeah. My staff is moving into the old OPP.
Oh.
3 departments, and we're moving evidence and records, and it's like they keep calling me. I'm running the meetings because Arthur's out of town.
Oh.
And then run here.
So you are
Go
it.
to Home Depot, get that. Look, when I tell you my trunk is full of Home Depot, and then Arthur's like, can you go to this meeting for me because I'm out of town? What? Run over to City Hall. I gotta go. He's 11 o'clock. I called you. I'm coming. Then I get stopped. I'm like, yes, indeed. Because it's election time. We put the election on.
Oh, I know.
Everybody gotta stop me in the hall. I cannot walk the hallway.
You must not have heard the beginning of the show or Chuck's show to my show.
Uh-oh.
Nothing. It's a lot of reconciliation.
Oh, yeah. Always reconciliation, man. All the time. Funny you should ask that because someone had I had a conversation with a therapist about that yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, don't tell me now. Tell me when we come back on air. How are each and every one of you out there? Did I share it on everything? We are live on Instagram. We are live on Facebook. If y'all are enjoying the show, please share it. The share button is the most underutilized button in the world. Y'all wondering why I have my purple St. Aug on today? Most underutilized, the share button. Yeah. Think about if you have a business and all of your friends hit the share button. I have 5,000 friends on my personal page and 17,000 likes on the business page and another 17,000 followers. That's 39, almost 40,000 people. Nice. Imagine if 40,000 people shared the Good Life Radio Show.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm just saying, we can reach the world. Y'all play around. I just ask you to hit the share button. That's it. And then ask your mom and them to share too. You know what I'm saying? But think about that. It is. It's the most underutilized. It's like economic development on your phone.
Absolutely. It is. Really. And people.
Imagine it.
And you know what? That's totally the underused button.
Yes,
because
it is.
Share is just so easy. Boom, you send it out.
And what did you do? All you did was share.
And you send it out.
What did it cost you?
Nothing.
The utility of a couple seconds in your lifetime.
A push of the finger. Exercise some part of your body.
Use your finger.
Exercise some part of your body.
Use your finger. Hook me up. Hit the share button. Yep. So... And if any of you are just tuning in and want to join the Good Life Radio Show, tglradioshow.com, tglradioshow.com are all of our rates and packages. Follow us Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We're growing. We have all kind of stuff. We have shirts coming out. They'll be coming out soon if you followed and actually I just showed y'all like the regular shirt, like the kind of standard one. But we're going to have shirts with, some of the things I talk about. We'll have Open Your Mind. I know I'm going to have I Am Enough because that's my new mantra, just in general. It is. I had a counseling session on Tuesday, and I was like, I needed that, and I was like, I am enough. That is yes. So that's the mantra. Yes, exactly. Each and every one of us. If you're enough
for yourself, you should be enough for anybody else.
Each and every one of us. We are enough. And we are enough exactly who we are today. Whether you're sick, whether you're feeling well, whether you're having a bad hair day, whatever it is, you are enough exactly where you are. And when we are able to embrace that and really love ourselves, because I can't say that I got work to do. You know what I'm saying? I have my own work to do. So if we put one foot in front of the other, you know, what a better life we can leave. And I'm saying it for ourselves, for our own healing. But when we are around other people, just like Ashley was around the guy at work, and he, you know, was full of negativity. And so what was he doing? As he walked around the job, he was spreading more of it. And, you know, until she kind of checked him on it and let him know that you're spreading us all this negativity, like,
it breeds.
Exactly.
Does.
And so, you know, what we're doing the same thing. We are breeding whatever we have caught up in us. So if we can check ourselves too, and then we're not going to be perfect every day. We're going to have uncomfortable days. But if you can just know not to, like, you know what? I know I'm not having the best day. Let me not go have go around the family member that, you know, I don't necessarily get along with and start something. You know what I mean? Let me kind of just know I'm not in the best mood today, so I'm just gonna chill.
Yes, and then they respect that. But here's the deal: negativity is contagious like a yawn.
Yes.
It really is. It is just as contagious as a yawn. So if you walk
Wait,
around,
say it. Hold on. Good morning, and welcome back to The Good Life with me, Eileen. We are here on Gumbo Talk Thursday, and we're here to open your mind. We are living the good life right here on WBOK 1230 AM. We are opening minds to living differently in the world with love, compassion, tolerance, and understanding for ourselves and hopefully everyone else. We do that right here weekdays at 11 a.m. Make sure you tune in. You never have to miss a show. Why? We are live on Facebook. We're live on Instagram. We're on YouTube. We are everywhere that you want to be. Make sure that you tune in. Spread a little positivity. We're going to get to Pierre. He's on the line in 1 second, but Terry said something that was so profound during the break that I really wanted her to repeat it. Y'all should watch us live in the studio because y'all can hear all of these profound nuggets. But Terry, please repeat what you said, and then we're going to jump into Pierre.
I told Eileen that it is, negativity is like a yawn. It is contagious. Yawns, it is scientifically stated that yawns are contagious.
Yes.
So is negativity. If you've got a person walking around being negative, particularly in the workforce, I manage people for a living. And when I have a negative, staff person, I have to shut that down because it infects, because it's contagious. And it infects the entire department because that person's going to go from one person to the next person to the next person, spreading that. It's like a cold. Get rid of it.
It's exactly. And that's why, here on The Good Life, that's why we say what we say. And you're like, oh, bubbly thing. No, I got my own issues. We are all on this journey together. And it is about negativity. And this morning, I just felt like I was inundated with it. And if you don't say anything, if you don't do anything, then you're giving into it.
Sure.
And so... and for each and every one of you, when you're around a negative person, you don't have to go off on them, but you can say, you know what? You're being a little negative. Where is it coming from? Why? You may need to go chill, go in your office, shut the door, take a moment, breathe, get a cup of coffee, whatever it is for you, and, kind of get back to who you are, because the energy that we are exuding affects other people. And if I'm in a negative state, I'm offering that to other people. If I get on this air and I speak negativity for an hour, I'm affecting every listener who is listening on the air, who is listening on social media, like we were talking before. I have 40,000 people who follow me on social media.
That's awesome.
Let's just say I reach half of them.
Right.
And I'm speaking something negative. Well, that's 20,000 people who I have infected with negativity. And that's not even including the listeners of WBOK.
Absolutely.
So now I'm infecting all of these people with negativity. It's not... How's it working for us?
Negativity spreads faster than positivity.
Exactly. Say that one more time, Ashley.
Negativity spreads faster than positivity.
It does indeed. It does, because...
It's put in the wrong circles.
Only when it's put in the wrong circle. Go ahead, Pierre.
See, negativity only moves faster than positivity if you focus on negativity. When you focus on like attracts like in this universe. So when you focus on positive things, more positive things get attracted into your realm of experience. Even if someone is being negative. I know, I think you said, let's get to the bottom of it. Why are you being so negative?
Yes.
Me? I don't care. Being that negative, I don't want to know why.
I like to help people
figure it out.
Yes, I'm allergic to you.
You deal with that. Because if not, it's going to be a transference of energy where for them to feel positive, they're going to dump that negative energy into my lap and have me to have to deal with it and turn it into something positive, or else I'm going to just pass it on and dump it to somebody else.
Bingo.
But positive travels the same way. It's just we have to train ourselves to not deal with negativity at all.
And it's funny.
I got a motto.
Go ahead.
I got a saying, yesterday died last night. I can't change nothing from yesterday.
I love that.
And that's why I'm big on don't forget, because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results.
Yes.
So if you came in yesterday negative, day before yesterday negative, and the day before yesterday negative, it's insane for me to think you're going to come in tomorrow positive.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Oh, Pierre, you have me dying laughing in here, because everyone in the studio is nodding their heads at you in full agreement. Just like you said, like attracts like, but also, I forget the book that I read it out of, but when you were speaking of transference, and I don't know if people really have a grasp on this or have even thought of it. There's some things you just never think of because you're so busy day to day. But Pierre, I know you're going to get me here, and we can bounce this off of Terry and Ashley as well. Let's say I am in a negative state. That's not the state that your body is balanced being in.
Right.
So you're looking for positivity.
Correct.
So when you interact with someone positive, whether you know it or not, well, actually, you probably don't know it. It's going to be unconscious. You're trying to steal their positive energy.
Absolutely.
Whether you know it or not.
Right.
That's what we do. It's just how we are made. And so you have these little negative people walking around trying to be, I call them energy vampires because that's exactly what they are. They're trying to steal and suck away your positive energy.
And they do.
So that's why when you have a you're like, why do I go in there happy and I leave sad? Or you have conversation with somebody, I go in there feeling one way.
My coworker.
That you go in there, exactly. You go in there feeling one way and you leave another. You're like, why? Because their negativity, we're not made that way. We're not supposed to be that way. And so your body has a natural reaction to try to suck it out of someone else. But if we understand that that's what all of us are doing, we're trying to suck positivity from everybody else, you'd have an understanding that, wait, if I start to build my own self up positively, I can start spreading more of that. And since we are all connected, because we like to forget that we are all connected, just like we say we're 6 degrees of separation. Think about how we can change the world when we begin to change ourselves.
Absolutely.
And that's what the good life is all about.
Absolutely.
Opening your mind to living differently in the world.
And that good part.
As we let our light shine, we unconsciously give others the right to let their light shine.
Yes, say that one more time.
But
Go ahead.
As we let our light shine, we unconsciously give others the right to let their light shine.
Yes.
But also on the aspect that we're all positive. The universe exists in divine balance of positive and negative.
Yes.
And it's something I even read somewhere a while ago when I was researching. You know how we talked last week about like soulmates, twin flames, things like that.
Yes.
But you have some souls that came to this universe that manifested in this incarnation in life not to be a positive force.
Absolutely.
That was not their choice. And it's not that it's for bad, it's for the betterment of the whole. Because if you think of some of the negative situations we've been in, when we're able to recognize them, learn the lessons, and then reconcile that and make a transformation, it turns into the greatest teacher in life. Sometimes our pain turns into our biggest platform.
Always.
To propel us
Pain.
to success. So it takes that person. You really have people that for this incarnation, they were purposely chose their parents, so they ended up in a situation where they may have been around a lot of negativity. And to them, it's not negative.
It's normal.
It's
normal.
Because it's all they know.
It's a normal way of life, yeah.
And it's so funny you say that, Pierre, because I had a couple friends, actually all my friends are like, you so happy and all this. And they were like, everybody's not nice. And I think I probably got that. It took me 30 some years to actually digest that. No, everybody's good. No. Everyone is not good. Everyone is not nice. I'm like, at the core. No. There's evil in the world. And, I knew that, but I didn't want to be, I was still all love and kindness and stuff. There really are negative, evil people. And you just have to recognize it. That's what discernment is all about, Pierre. That's what discernment is all about. And so it's being able to have a connection and be more balanced in our lives so that we can discern, those paths. I'm seeing these things from this person. I'm not going to go that route. You know what? I'm going to go this route. And just like you said, like attracts like. And when you are attracting more of those people, it becomes a little bit easier of a path.
Oh, I agree. 100%.
Sometimes negative people will be a conduit. Like I've seen situations and even been in situations where someone may have came into my life who was a completely negative person and was only there, friend, business partnership, a potential client, something like that came across paths for me to do business with them, and it didn't work out. But I may have met 3 people through that connection that we may have a long-term business partnership or a long-term business connection or a long-term business relationship from it. Does it mean that person was a negative influence on my life, or was it just a conduit to bring me and those other people together?
It's so funny that you say that because, Terry, the story of the show, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, and Pierre, you can laugh with that as well. And for all of you who know or don't know, it's an inside joke.
It is.
You told me.
It is.
All right. Ashley?
I was just going to say, a side note. So I posted this today on my Instagram, and I feel like it might have a little something to do with what we're talking about.
Yes.
But it says, clean up how you feel about others. Release those heavy feelings and judgments so you are not using others as an excuse to block your alignment.
Ooh.
That's deep.
Wait, I'm gonna need you to repeat that one more time so all of our listeners can digest that, because I want to digest it again. Go ahead.
It says, clean up how you feel about others. Release those heavy feelings and judgments so you are not using others as an excuse to block your alignment.
Wow. I don't know if I could have said it any better. Welcome to the good life, Ashley. Ashley dropping bombs. Ashley is dropping bombs. No matter what anyone does to you, no one can take away from you your capacity to do good. You lose it only by willing to give up yourself. Did you like that one, Pierre? No matter what anyone does to you, no one can take away from you your capacity to do good. You lose it by willingly giving up on yourself. So I offer this to everyone today. Don't give up on yourself. Mm-hmm. Don't give up on yourself.
It's like we said last week, is that if no one can make you unhappy, you just refuse. You're unhappy because you refuse to accept their action.
Yes.
If I go to work, I've run wings of the country for Fortune 300 organizations, so I've had a ton of employees across my career. And sometimes, I'm sure, Terry, you could attest to this one, when you got employees, sometimes it's almost like having children or fixing the stuff their parents didn't do right.
Oh, God, if you don't know how many hours a day I spend being mom, it is just amazing. Redirecting their thoughts, their lives, their whatever, because they're full of negativity, they're full of frustration, they're full of angry, and they just want to get everybody all riled up in that negative energy that they have. And I shut it down. And, sometimes I've learned that they're dealing with depression. Depression makes them angry. So we have those conversations, okay? If you're constantly negative, you may have some depression issues, have to bring them in and do some counseling. Or they may be having an illness that is causing this negativeness in their life because they're tired of pain. Or they're just lonely. So some things would cause that negative onset with them. I bring them in, I counsel them, and then, the mommy part goes away. I put on the counseling hat, and then I put back on my manager hat, and then send them back out into the world, a better person.
Yes.
So that's the way it has to be.
Yes.
It's effective because, like Elaine, I am a bubbly person.
Yes.
I'm happy. I come across with her, and my energy just bounces with her.
Oh.
It does, all over the place, and I feel really good about myself when I leave the studio or when I have a conversation with her.
You stealing my energy?
Oh, girl, I steal your energy. It makes me feel good about myself.
Oh.
It really does. So have somebody like that, and I am that person as well. But sometimes people can suck that out of you.
Yeah.
You come around this girl, you glow. So, like she does. But the key factor is this: you gotta shut it down because it is infectious. It just infects other people. And, everybody that they touch. And at the end of the day, you've got all these negative people, and they bring it back the next day. No.
Exactly.
And when that fails, you know what I do?
What?
I bake them a rum cake.
She bakes them a rum cake.
And make it really tainted too. So the rest of it just melts off and goes away.
I like that. Well, we're going to let it melt off with a rum cake. We just offer reconciliation for everyone today. That's what the good life is about. That's what our conversation is about. This entire week, we're going to hit it from so many different perspectives. Y'all, there's so much negativity in the world. If we can start reconciling some more love, compassion, tolerance within ourselves, and we can exude that each and every day, I just offer you the good life. You know, by no means am I perfect. Do I think I know everything? Absolutely not. We're all on this journey together. I ask that we hold hands and we do it together. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Eileen. I want to thank Terry, Ashley, and Pierre on the line. Y'all tune in tomorrow for Freedom Fridays, where we drop our bags. Could this week get any more amazing? Yes, it can. I'll see y'all tomorrow. This is Eileen. I'm out.
You're a positive. I tell you what, you're a positive force. You really are.
Thanks so much for tuning in.
Look, you know what I'm seeing? When I'm sitting in my office and you're on the radio, people knock on my door and they come in, you know, and they listen. Because
Y'all
of the
so
energy.
positive, right? Right, but imagine that. And I'm not saying everybody is going to have the same personality. We're all different. But just imagine if you were, you know,
to advertise with the Good Life Radio Show, call 504-400-7127. 504-400-7127. Open your mind and grow.
And if I'm
with the
not
Good Life
there
Radio Show
and I
today.
leave somebody in charge to figure it out and they don't, then I come back, you cannot
7127.
imagine how booted up they are. It's amazing. It's like, you know what? Okay, so if I leave you in charge of something, you know, and this is your attitude when I come back, you know, let's talk about what changed that. But suppose I did that every day. You know, you guys, every minute on the hour, y'all are just this, that. I said, do you know what kind of person that I would be?
Yes.
I said, so learn from me. Learn from me.
Exactly.
And I counsel them so that
Exactly.
they can learn.
Exactly.
I can't let this get to me. Let me tell you something. All of that negativity kills. It really
Yes.
does. It causes you to have hypertension, strokes, and seizures. No, I'm not doing none of that in my life.
Oh, yes, Terry. Yes.
None of that.
You got me
No.
snapping my fingers this morning.
None of that. Anybody got to listen? I'll be like,
We are snapping our fingers this
Raising
morning.
sunshine, baby.
Yeah, shine. You know, and I used to think everything was like sunshine and flowers, but there are negative people in the world, and I've just, you know, steered clear. I can't do it. And where I am now, I'm empathetic, and I can feel their energy, and I'm just like, you got to go. Eliminate them. Reconcile people out your life sometimes. You just got to go. And I got to go right now. I got to get out the studio. Thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. It's a good life. Share the button. Share. Oops, I thought I was getting ready out, but I'm not. But I am not. Okay, there we go.